Nerderotic.com.
Well, it looks like Sony and Marvel are indeed still talking, negotiating. Now, this public negotiation by Sony might be at the behest of Disney to get the fan base all riled up, to get more interest in D23. I wouldn't put it beyond Disney. They've divided fan bases before with their fake woke marketing for Black Panther and more recently Captain Marvel. And, well, more recently than that, Phase 4 at San Diego Comic-Con. So they have certainly shown a propensity to do this in the past, in my opinion. So this is why I don't doubt the future Pulitzer Prize winning John F. Trent at Bounding Into Comics when he reports, rumor Marvel and Disney offer new deal to Sony to keep Spider-Man in the MCU. I would like to preface this by saying that I am not a fan of MCU Spider-Man. It's been one of the bigger disappointments, in my opinion, of the MCU because he is nowhere near the Spider-Man I grew up with in the comics. He's very close to Brian Michael Bendis' Ultimate Spider-Man, but that's not Peter Parker Spider-Man. Remember, it's Spider-Man, not Spider-Boy, but that's what we're getting in the MCU. He relies way too much on Stark Tech, on Tony Stark himself when he was still alive, alienating even my son. 13-year-old Nerdrotic Jr. is less of a fan than I am of the MCU Spider-Man, and that's the person you want to catch, and you have failed in that. Another thing that I need to take into consideration and we need to take into consideration is there's a large portion of the fandom that would like to see Spider-Man over at Sony with Amy Pascal and Tom Rothman. That's how bad things have gotten because Bob Iger and Kevin Feige have signed off on a lot of creatives attacking fans, and they have taken this to heart. And they are willing to take their money elsewhere. So they would be happy to give Sony some money over Disney. And again, Bob Iger signed off on Pablo Hidalgo and Kathleen Kennedy and her ilk, and Rian Johnson, and most recently Taika Waititi at Comic-Con, taking shots at fans, which should never be allowed. Take the high road, but they never seem to do that. So don't be surprised that a lot of people would love to see this deal break off. A new rumor suggests Marvel, Disney, and Sony have reached a deal concerning Spider-Man. The rumor comes from TVO at the Lords of the Long Box. He states Disney has made a new offer to Sony and are waiting for them to accept or counter. The hope is that this is agreed upon by D23 so a huge announcement can be made of the renewal of vows. Think about this. D23 wants to pop bigger than Hall H at San Diego Comic-Con. Well, I can believe that. I could certainly believe that. TVO then dives into the details of the deal. And this is where it gets to almost too good to be true territory, but let's read it. It's a 6-picture deal with Tom Holland and an option for a 7th. There are 3 more Spider-Man films after the 3rd one. In essence, a new trilogy. The 2nd trilogy will focus on Peter Parker's college years, including plans to meet up and team up with Firestar and Iceman. Spider-Man and his amazing friends, and you know it'll be gay Iceman. You know it's going to be gay Iceman. He continues, the other 3 movies are 2 Avengers films, which Spider-Man will have a larger role, with the Fantastic Four becoming friends with Johnny Storm. Marvel Studios will helm and co-finance all Spider-Man related movies for 30% of the full profits. Sony will distribute, but Disney will acquire exclusive digital and online rights for D+ and affiliated TV networks. Marvel Studios will helm and co-finance Spider-Verse live-action spin-offs under the same terms. Venom will relocate into the MCU. That's the one I'm having a hard time to buy. Sony really loves Venom. Avi Arad really loves Venom. Sony will be given permission for TV live-action programs based on Spider-Verse live-action properties. That's another one I have a very hard time believing. But who knows? Who knows? TVO also adds Spider-Man is going to be in a D23 presentation. He's going to be in a panel. Well, I guess we're going to find out very, very soon. So I guess there was some Instagram stuff. Along with this rumor from TVO at Lords of the Long Box, Tom Holland posted a number of photos alongside Iron Man actor Robert Downey Jr., simply stating, "We did it, Mr. Stark," in the final photo. It shows Downey Jr. holding a Spider-Man action figure with Holland holding an Iron Man one. And I think these are older photos, so he could have been just saying, hey, we had a good run. Or we made a new deal. I'm not really sure. I also heard, I don't know, and I'm not going to verify because I don't care, but I heard that Tom Holland unfollowed Sony. I don't know if that would be wise, but again, I don't know if that's true. Listen, Sony is in a tight spot because Spider-Man is their biggest franchise and that's all they have, and they don't own all of it, and they don't own merchandising rights. Marvel still has a ton of control over Spider-Man. Now, there has been the rumor out there that Sony has something beyond just the film distribution rights, that they actually own a percentage of the character. I've heard this from multiple sources, but I don't know if that's true. That could muddy the waters a lot in this situation too, and force Marvel and Disney to play ball with Sony. Now, I have heard that companies want to buy Sony, or Sony wants to buy. I heard CBS wants to buy Sony. So we'll see. There's going to be more mergers in the future because the streaming wars, Sony can't survive the streaming wars on its own. They have nothing. They don't have a big enough library to do their own streaming service, and they're going to have to do something. Again, that's just purely my speculation. And again, I'm not a fan of the MCU Spider-Man, especially in his solo films. He was okay in Civil War and good in Infinity War and okay in Endgame. And I thoroughly disliked Far From Home and Homecoming as Spider-Man films. Now, Far From Home was an improvement on Homecoming, and I know some of you out there love them, and that's great. And I have to admit that I am biased because I've read decades of comics. And while you guys have seen, 10 Spider-Man films or films with Spider-Man in it, there's only a couple that you've seen that are anywhere near the comic book Spider-Man. You know, the one that's been popular for decades, the one us hardcore fans help cultivate and keep around for decades. That's the problem we have. And now that the MCU is going in this woke direction, no, I'm not happy that Spider-Man is going to be in the woke MCU phase 4. But that's what we're getting. That's what we're getting. And he's not even going to be around till phase 5. So D23 is going to happen, and we'll find out then. And I may or may not do a couple videos on the news. I really don't like being a PR firm for Disney myself. But if there's something we can, pick apart, maybe. But until then, I want you to consider that this might have all been a bunch of BS to create some interest, or this was a very public negotiation by Sony, and well played by Sony. And, as I think about this further, I think Sony should stand their ground and play hardball with them, because if Spider-Man is indeed all they have, which it basically is, they have some other films, but listen, even Jumanji is going to run its course. I did like that movie, by the way, with The Rock. I thought it was pretty good, and Karen Gillan, she's brilliant. But yeah, why would Sony bend the knee so much to Disney when they don't need to? Kevin Feige took a loss on this one. There's no doubt. And that made a lot of people happy. Why? Because Disney's been treating their fans like crap. Marvel Comics has been treating their fans like crap. And there's a lot of people pissed off about that. There's a lot of people who supported both of these companies for years that feel offended by that, as they should. Now, maybe the MCU, Disney, and Sony can take this as a moment of change. They can be the change they want to be and start treating all the fans better. Not just the fans you want. You don't get to choose your fans, but your fans get to choose you. Please like, share, and subscribe. I will have this office finished eventually, and then we can get back to me being full screen. Yes, I did shave my beard. I do that once a year. We have to trim it back. We have to get the birds out. I think I still had some pizza in there from EFAP a month ago. Everybody have a wonderful day, and not all who wander are lost.
Nerderotic.com. Please subscribe.